Sup Shredders, my name is Logan aka Spiderhands and welcome to an SP Reacts where today we have ourselves a track from an act named Torn Chorus titled Crimson Autograph, and if we switch over to here we have ourselves a track on YouTube, Crimson Autograph, Torn Chorus music, Dracula's Choice for Halloween. So I assume this was released just in time for Halloween, which is pretty cool. And we're going to listen to the song from start till finish and we're going to hear what we think. Let's do it, let's go. What do we got?
Listen to them, children of the night. What music they make.
Neat little sample at the start.
Behind the days of simplicity, his life is a tangle of misspent desire. He wonders at his world of eccentricity. There's nothing left to which he can aspire. He spits in the air and watches it land. Feels the power burning in his hand. The fog's disappearance reveals the sand. Just save me from this crimson autograph. Crimson autograph.
Interesting chord progression here, I like the adjustment.
Crimson autograph.
All the responses with the leads as well.
Please save me from this crimson autograph.
I love the jangliness of it, I wasn't expecting that, but it's a nice contrast to the darker subject matter, you know?
He's groping at myths from posterity. Read all the necessary texts on life. He's binged on Jung and mangled Socrates, yet still clings to dreams that make it right. He spits in the air and watches it land. Feels the power burning in his hand. The fog disappearance reveals the sand. The hourglass is showing less than half. Just save me from this crimson autograph. Crimson autograph. Crimson autograph.
Is that Nosferatu?
Please save me from this crimson autograph.
I love the outfit choice. I mean, it's just great that we're having fun with it, you know? And there we have it, Torn Chorus with their track Crimson Autograph. It is very much Dracula Halloween inspired. I dig it. That's cool. We're going to talk about this track more in the conclusion. And so welcome to the conclusion of my review of this track from an act named Torn Chorus titled Crimson Autograph, Dracula's Choice for Halloween. In this section, we're going to talk about a few things that I liked about the track, as well as any applicable constructive critique, and then finally my overall thoughts on it from a listener's perspective, just a general listening perspective. So first of all, what do we think this track is about? I think, especially with the Hourglass references, talking about all the texts and sort of feeding on the young and everything like that, it kind of does, again, connect really neatly to the idea of Dracula kind of needing to feed on the young in order to survive, in order to sort of replenish himself, but also on people doing whatever they can to sort of lengthen their life and avoid the ever-present fear of death, our mortality, coming to terms with that, struggling with the acceptance that it will one day come for us all. I think it's told in a really mature way. I think it's spoken about with a story that I feel like has a really intriguing parallel that again is very, very, very sort of like sensible for a Halloween theme, but that also is accessible and open enough to people for them to sort of be able to get behind it and appreciate it. And so I think part of what sells the story so well are the vocals, and I just love how earnest and honest they are. I hear it, and I think that Torn Chorus is really having fun with the music. And I mean that in a sincere, genuine way. They're a musician, a vocalist who's very comfortable in their vocal range, in the head and chest voice. There's a bit of vibrato occasionally, a bit of legato, but we're not trying to sort of overdo it. We're simply trying to sort of focus on a storytelling as well as providing compelling repetitions or iterations of the hook line in those chorus sections to kind of get that stuck in your head. There's a lot of flavor and color added with the various guitar parts, which we'll talk about in a moment. But openly, I just feel like this is just really pleasant to listen to. With this kind of tale, you could easily go in the direction of it being very sort of angsty and kind of dramatic and very tense and uncomfortable. But I feel like if you were passively listening to this, like not necessarily really listening to the lyrics that much, just kind of like listening to the melody and how it integrated with the rest of the arrangement, you just have it sounds like a really chill, fun, happy song, and you wouldn't take it as seriously. I think for those people who do pay closer attention, they are rewarded by the context and nuance and the sensibilities put forward by Torn Chorus, and I think you have a different experience in that way. So I feel like just the fact that we've not only, I think, captured the vocals really neatly here with a solid performance hitting the notes the way we needed to, with I think double tracking in certain parts, call and response with the guitars. It's just that you get an active and a passive listening experience that are different but both equally meaningful, or at least beneficial, I suppose, or enjoyable. And so I think the second thing I want to talk about here are the guitar lines. I like the jaggliness of the open chords, the beauty of those. They're really sweet sounding. The guitar that he's using is just sounded really pretty, and I enjoy the fact that we are not trying to overcomplicate the harmonies within this progression. I think that it makes it more accessible to people who don't necessarily want that nuance within it. If you listen to the lyrics, the story, it provides enough of that without the chord progressions sort of putting more of that forward. I think that it has a propensity to sort of be further in a major key leaning, which I think makes sense, but there's also some bluesy intonations which I think really sell it, because when you include that bluesy scale in there, it really does kind of polish it and balance it out. It provides some sort of like a metering of that sort of happy, bright flavor there, where it makes it a bit less cheesy as well. I think the bluesy leanings with the lead guitar, again, being a sometimes thing, are almost mirroring some of the sentiment we might have towards the sort of ideas of concepts of mortality and the Crimson Autograph ourselves. We don't want to have anything to do with that. It's just that sort of like blood contract. It's just really sensible. So I think, again, the chord progressions that we have, as well as the way we play the guitar with the bends and hammer-ons and pull-offs and little kind of like zazzy parts, there's a bit of flavor and decoration there to sort of spice it up and make it more intriguing or interesting. But we also have it in a way that's consistent enough for it to be smooth and easy listening. And there are some moments where we kind of have a bit of sort of tremolo work, and like wow, like there's some quick vibratos, a bit of sassiness, and we do allow the guitar to cut out sometimes for there to be space with the bass and drums before a repetition. And I just like the different textures of the different sort of like guitar parts, such as the rotary rib, I think, on one part of the clean guitars with the arpeggios. Another part is sort of the lead parts have sort of distortion, and so they're distinguished from each other because of that and provide different functions, but don't fight with each other for attention or presence. And yeah, I think that having the steel string or the cleans with the kind of rotary stuff is fantastic, especially on the different sides of the stereo field. I think the studio production also is worthy of note. I'm really happy with how the guitars, bass, drums, and vocals all come together within the same piece. I feel that it's incredibly well balanced, and it's just really pleasurable to listen to a track and go, hey, I'm in safe hands throughout the entirety of the 4 minutes 30. I think the start of the song, having sort of Dracula talk about the music of the young and everything like that at the start was really interesting. You know, what music they make. I love that. I just think it's just really, and again, I know Dracula isn't necessarily always the most wholesome content, but I think it's for outstanding, withstanding it's a Halloween track. I just love the kind of the intent of it, the clear intent to kind of make a wholesome sounding piece overall, I suppose. When you're not trying to be too sort of dark or dire with it. So I think from just an extra production perspective, having that sample or part of the movie at the start there kind of set the scene immediately, and then you simply had to nail the leveling and the positioning and panning of things in the sides of the stereo field, as well as get the drums and bass and guitars and stuff to just sound well recorded and be well played and not over processed. And I think the guitar laying with the various sort of layers and similar parts of the frequency spectrum as well, the fact we didn't get them to argue not just with the different tones and textures or effects change, but also because the EQing decisions was very good. It was nice and low without pumping as well, so the bus compression and limiting was handled. I mean, ultimately, yeah, it's basically for me, my highlights were the vocal performance as well as the guitar takes, different ideas with those, and the post-production. At a track that is 4 minutes 36, in terms of constructive critique, I think that overall it was implemented really efficiently. I wonder if we could have done more with instrumental layers, or maybe kind of like had things slow down or go into a halftime groove with the drums as opposed to like the normal time the entire time, just to kind of change the feel or pace of a piece. I feel like you can change the amount of kicks or snares you have and the accents or the positions they're in within the bars to sort of like provide more range or a different experience. Because I'm just being very sort of like cognizant of the fact that I might have missed something. I think it is reasonably like dun, 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 dun. There's a similar drum groove for a lot of this track. I just feel like if you'd gone halftime at one point, or if you'd maybe had like a more extended solo section, because there were guitar solos, don't get me wrong. I appreciated the way they sort of like measured their way through the mix. And again, it's very incredibly colorful with some guitar parts at the start, but I think if you just had the drums go to a halftime fill at some point, switch things up rhythmically, the bass line was absolutely fine now. And just from a general listening perspective, I sounded great to me. I liked how it sounded. I don't have any complaints personally about it. I think stylistically, I think that if I'm not mistaken, they're based in Auckland. So it's very much reminds me a lot of New Zealand music. And I think that stylistically, it's at home. It's, you know, it's a comfort, it's a cozy blanket. It'd just be interesting to hear what else they do outside of this, whether this is their consistent sort of like tonal meter or whether this is like a once-off. I just, at the same time, I think that if you tried to go too far in the direction of the Halloween sort of aesthetic outside of that, it might have seemed like we were maybe trying too hard or something like that. I'm not sure. It's a tricky balance, but I think overall, just a really interesting concept and a decent first impression. So thank you for watching my review of this track from an act named Torn Chorus music titled Crimson Autograph, and hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please go show them some love via their various social medias and YouTube page, and stay cool and stay safe, and please remember to support your local musicians and artists at this point in time, as they need the help more than ever with all the crazy stuff going on in the world. And I'll catch you in the next SP Reacts. Spiderhands out.